My name is Sara Bjelke, and I'm an architect and I'm a partner in Urban Power.
My name is Arne Cermak Nielsen. I'm one of the founders of Urban Power.
We have some very interesting projects at the moment. We're working on a big extension of Copenhagen into 9 small islands south of Copenhagen. We work with urban transformation, so large-scale urban developments.
We're mostly known for linking the gap between the master plan scale and the building scale. So we include urban planning, urban space and buildings as a unity.
Most of our projects come through network. So we have a big network in the business for developers, contractors, municipalities. The public sector is a big part of our clients. So of course also these tenders where we get the notification and then you have to apply.
A lot of the needs are not necessarily expressed in a tender. It's also not necessarily a competition. It could also be smaller needs or investigations that can lead to a project later on, and that is not announced. That's something you have to be a part of yourself.
Word of mouth is many things. You can say it's just person to person, but it also is a PR strategy. We like to go very public with our projects and tell about it, and also make these proactive projects which has an interest from the society point of view. So in that way we take part in the public debate a lot with these type of projects, and in that way we go quite far PR-wise.
Planning is a very public matter. You could say everyone has an opinion about that. And luckily I would say there's also way more public interest in planning, and that's super important because what is planned is something which is both political, public, and environmental and economical issues. So you could say everyone has a part in it, and I think that makes this business extremely interesting.
I think when you're being specialized as a company, it's very easy to have a profile which the client understands or can relate to, and in that way it can be easier to getting assignments like that because you're an expert on the field. On the other hand, of course, you get very much going in one direction, so it can be difficult to grow into other types of projects. It doesn't need to be hard, but of course when you are specialized in one thing, it's also because you have some great competences in this area and you like to work with this area. I think there's a much more focus now on the area that I work with, the urban scale, and how to create the life in the city, and also how to involve the public in developing the city and the buildings. So it's much more about the social values and co-creation, you could say, and dialogue in the business. When we start up the project, we always do a thorough analysis, and that means that all our design, all the decisions we take has a base in this analysis, which makes it very easy for the client to understand why the design goes in this direction, because there's a reason from the analysis. A lot of the creativity and a lot of the value is created in the very first phases when you're having the sketch design. And unfortunately, this is maybe also the part which clients have the hardest time seeing that there's an actual value there. So, you know, they like to pay for all the detailed drawings and all the technical stuff, but the more creative part, where it's actually the most important part of the project, I would say, it can be difficult to create a business case. I think it's inspiring to do competitions. I like the format, and I think also we keep our team sharp and motivated, because in competitions you can do anything and you can overdo yourself, you can say, because you want to become the best, right? So that in that case it's very motivating. But of course it's also, when you're not the winner and you spend a lot of time, it's also quite frustrating.
Hopefully big data can be a way of creating more efficiency, both in terms of being more accurate in the needs, not over-dimensioning things, buildings, infrastructure, but being more accurate on the actual needs. And that's also hopefully what can solve a lot of the environmental issues that the building industry has.
With computer technologies and everything, there's going to be much more information about the projects, which you can translate more directly into the actually realization. I could also mention something which, for example, now that we are working with urban development, it's not specifically about our industry, but the self-driving cars, for example, are gonna change our urban layout completely, when you can, place parking wherever you want, because the car can go there itself. So it's a completely another way of creating city in the future.
I believe there's way more focus on the way that planning and architecture can contribute to the development of the society. And that is not only focused on objects, but it's more a coherent thing that has to do with other disciplines as well. So going from, I could say, thinking building as an isolated entity, then it's a part of a bigger thing, of a planning. That also goes for environmental issues. When buildings and the building industry takes up 40% of the CO2 emissions, for instance, then I think the only way we can solve that is to work together way better than we do today. I think in the future you'll see that there will be way more collaborations internationally, and you will see planners also working in other areas than just the national one. There's a tendency that architects think that a nation is kind of like a boundary. There's a difference on how we do things here, how you do it in Sweden, how you do it in Europe and the world. And that's true for a certain extent, but I think we are heading towards a more international world, also in terms of planning, in terms of learning and understanding from the different kind of conditions you have in other nations.